Empowered women empower the world, and when the women lead with purpose, progress becomes inevitable. Good afternoon, everyone, distinguished leaders, esteemed panelists, valued partners, and dear participants. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the DBV-MAESTRO Women's Day celebration, a special virtual panel discussion on the theme She Leads with Purpose, Progress, and Well-being. To begin, let me briefly introduce Don Bosco Varigati, a pioneering career guidance and youth empowerment initiative inspired by the vision of St. John Bosco. Committed to shaping informed futures, Varigati supports students, educators, and partners through career guidance, industry collaborations, HR Summit, women-centric initiatives, and skill development programs, building the gap between education and industry. Over the past 28 years, with partners like Tech Mahindra Foundation, Karishma Solutions, and Job Placement Network Delhi, it has trained and placed nearly 5 lakh youth. Partnering with them is Mastro Human Resource Private Limited, a global HR and a talent development firm founded in 2002 and headquartered in Dubai. With a presence across the US, UK, Middle East, Japan, and India, Mastra specializes in leadership development, organizational growth, and corporate advisory, serving reputed organizations including Tata Consultancy Service and several global institutions. Together, we create platforms for learning, leadership, and empowerment. As we formally begin this meaningful session, it is my privilege to invite Ms. Sindhu, Center Manager of Perambur, to present the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm and heartfelt welcome to each one of you to the DBV Maestro Women's Day Celebration 2026. On behalf of Don Bosco Varigati, it's my privilege to welcome you all to this special virtual panel discussion on the inspiring theme, She Leads, Purpose, Progress, and Well-being. Today, we gather not just to celebrate Women's Day, but to celebrate leadership with purpose, growth with integrity, and success with well-being to its core. At DBV, we gather not just to celebrate Women's Day, but to celebrate leadership with purpose. We are deeply honored to host an extraordinary panel of leaders who represent diverse sectors. I warmly welcome Mrs. Batma Jayaraman, Senior Associate Director from MOVED. Welcome, dear ma'am. I welcome Mrs. Elizabeth Johnson, Director HR, Upnomic Systems Private Limited, Bangalore. Ms. Suma Nair, Head Customer Connect, World Trade Center, Bangalore, Chennai, and Cochin. Mrs. Vinodini Sugumar, President, Cochin Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mrs. Auxilia, Advocate, Auxilia Law Associates, Chennai. Ms. Nivedita, Deputy Manager, S-Bank, and alumnus of Financial Year 2021. And I would like to welcome Mr. Mark Sequeira, CEO of Mastro Human Resources Private Limited, our all-time supporter. We are truly privileged to have such accomplished leader with us, individuals who have not only excelled in their domains, but have paved the way for many others to rise. I extend my welcome to Father Joe Anand, Director of DBV, and the center teams, professionals, students, entrepreneurs, and all the leaders here today. May this session ignite new perspectives, strengthen our resolve, and inspire you to lead boldly and authentically. Once again, welcome to the DBV Maestro Women's Day Celebration 2026. Let's begin this enriching journey of insights, inspiration, and impact. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that warm and inspiring welcome address. As we continue with our program, we now move to a segment that will help frame the essence of today's discussion. To set the context and introduce the theme, I would like to invite Ms. Jennifer, Senior Soft Skill Trainer from Ambattur Center, to present the context and guide us into the focus of today's panel discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. To set the stage, it's acknowledge why we are gathering today. This isn't just another professional meeting, it's a celebration of women in leadership and the unique realities you navigate. It is a moment to recognize the unique reality of women in leadership. As the women leaders, you demand courage to define success on your own terms. Your purpose is who you are becoming, your progress, a deliberate journey lifting others. Your well being, the foundation of your resilient influence, not a reward. A quick note on professional decorum to the audience. In this virtual space, please keep cameras on if comfortable, mute when not speaking, and use chat for questions, ensuring everyone feels respected and heard. Respected dignitaries, this virtual space honors the fire you carry and the wisdom you're fought for. Together, we champion leadership that nourishes you, changing not just the game but the culture. Welcome, leaders, to She Leads Purpose, Progress, and Well being, where these forces align for you. Let's lead not by doing more, but by being fully you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting a meaningful foundation for today's conversation. Behind every successful woman is not just determination, but courage, resilience, and the power to lead with purpose. With this inspiring thought, we shall now proceed to the introduction and introduction of our esteemed panelists. To introduce our first esteemed panelist, I warmly invite Ms. Srija, Yuva English and WPR trainer, to deliver the introduction of Ms. Padma.
Yes, Srija.
Am I audible? Yes. Am I audible now? Sorry for the interruption, everyone. So, good afternoon. It is my privilege to introduce Ms. Padma Jayaraman, Senior Associate Director at Movate. With nearly 3 decades of experience in the IT training and CSR-driven skilling sector, she has committed significantly to the empowering youth through education and employability initiatives. She has worked with leading organizations such as Aptech, NIIT, and the Fourth R India, and has been closely associated with the impactful programs like Tech Mahindra, Smart Centers, and Mahendra Pride Schools, and Titan Leap in collaboration with Nandi Foundation. We are delighted to have her with here to share her insights and experience. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Nidhi Manikam, Career Guidance Coordinator, to introduce the following panelists.
It's my honor to introduce the Iron Lady of Chennai High Court. Ms. Auxilia Peter is an experienced advocate with a demonstrated history of working in the law practice industry. Skilled in strategic planning, property, family, litigation, legal advice, arbitration, and civil litigation. Strong legal professional with a Master of Law focused in property from Dr. Ambedkar Law University of Madras. It is my privilege to welcome you for the panel discussion, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Next, I request Ms. Prema, Domain Trainer, to present the introduction for our next two distinguished panelists.
Yes. Now I invite Mrs. Elizabeth Johnson, Director HR at Apnamic System Private Limited, Bangalore, is a respected senior HR leader and a OD consultant with over 28 years of experience in the IT industry. An internationally certified life and executive coach, she is widely recognized for mentoring thousands of youth in India and abroad. With an MBA in HR and an LLB from Karnataka State Law University, she is also sought for post trainer, labor law expert, and a strong advocate for women empowerment. It's my privilege to welcome you for this panel discussion, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I invite Ms. Suma Nair, Head of Customer Connect at the World Trade Center across Bangalore, Chennai, Cochin, and Brigade Commercials. Is a versatile business professional with over 18 years of experience in the hospitality sector. A Six Sigma certified PMP trained professional and WICCI member. She is a recipient of Vajra Award in 2020 and two-time Pan India winner for customer service and Best Groom Employee. She is widely recognized for our contribution to Kaizen project, change management, and for being a strong advocate for women's empowerment. It's my privilege to welcome you for this panel discussion, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Prema.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Sumaya, Senior Tally Trainer from Broadway Center, to introduce our panelists for today's discussion.
It's my privilege to introduce our esteemed panelist, Mrs. Vinodini. Mrs. Vinodini Sukumar is the President and Executive Committee member of the Cochin Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the second women president in its 168-year history. A senior advertising professional with over 3 decades of experience across Bangalore, Chennai, and Cochin. She is a strong advocate for women's rights and youth empowerment. She has served as president of the Women Entrepreneur Network and Rotary Club of Cochin West, and is actively involved with the Angel Network, Raising Our Voices Foundation, and the Global Leadership Team for the Young Entrepreneur Program. A dedicated CSR enthusiast, she focuses on mentorship and women's empowerment. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm looking forward to hearing from all the other panelists over here.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Ms. Aishwarya, BFSI trainer, to present the introduction for our next panelist.
Now I invite Ms. Niveda Kalaiselvan, Deputy Manager at S Bank, with over 4 years of experience in the banking sector. She is known for her strong work ethic, strategic thinking, and modern leadership style. She is a two-time recipient of a Mountain Mover Award, and she has also received the Shining Star Award multiple times for her outstanding performance. Recently, she was honored with the Medal of Honor, Champions Trophy, and the League of Superheroes Award for her exceptional contribution. Apart from her corporate achievements, Ms. Niveda, also a certified makeup artist, skincare enthusiast, model, and educator, inspiring others through her diverse talent. I welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Pleasure being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Finally, I would like to invite Ms. Shrija again, who's an UI English and a WPR trainer, to introduce the moderator of today's panel discussion.
It is my privilege to introduce Mr. Mark Anthony, a senior management consultant and a corporate lawyer by profession. He is also master moderate for eye-level panel discussions and has moderated several prestigious events involving ministers, government bureaucrats, business magnates, and corporate leaders. With over 2.5 decades of professional experience, he has been instrumental in transformation of individuals and organizations into hubs of excellence. Over the years, he has trained and mentored more than 25,000 people in India and abroad. Mr. Mark Anthony is the principal consultant and a CEO of Maestro Human Resource Private Limited, with clientele spread across India, the GCC, United States, and Japan. He is also a life member of Kerala State Productivity Council, an active member of Chamber of Commerce and NIPM, and served as the treasurer of Calicut Management Association, affiliated with All Indian Management Association. We are truly honored to have him with us today. We welcome you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, everyone, for those wonderful introductions. With all our distinguished panelists now introduced, we now move into the most engaging segment of today's program, the panel discussion. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Veronica. I was just recollecting a joke that was prevalent probably about in India 15 years ago when Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav was the railway minister of India. So the joke was, Lalu Prasad had come to Patna railway station to flag off a new train. And when he arrived over there, he found the entire railway station packed. And he said, wow, this is fantastic. I find people are here well in advance to, witness this wonderful event of me flagging off a new train. And at that point in time, an announcement was made over the intercom that the Delhi Patna Express is coming into platform number 1. And Lalu Prasad and his people were standing in platform number 1. And it said that the train was supposed to come in at 2:30 p.m. on a particular day. And so when Lalu Prasad looked at the time, it was about to be 2:30 p.m. And he was so overjoyed, he called the entire press and he said, let's have a press conference. I want to show that as the railway minister, I've started ensuring that the railways functions on time. And that's when somebody reminded him, sir, this was actually yesterday's train was supposed to come in at 2:30 p.m. the previous day. It has arrived 24 hours later. Nevertheless, DBP has done a wonderful job so far of having started this thing bang on time. We will be starting this panel discussion, not like Lalu Prasad late, but probably a good 7 to 8 minutes a little early. So I just hope at this point in time, all the panelists are here before we take off on this panel discussion. Veronica, are all the panelists in screen, please?
Yes, sir. Everyone are there in the.
Okay, because I didn't happen to see Madam Auxilia when she was introduced. I didn't happen to see her. So
yes, I joined, sir.
Pardon?
I join right now.
Right. Perfect. So with your permission, it's a great pleasure to be among 6 excellent ladies who have proved themselves over the years. And it's my honor to be moderating this panel discussion today. So with your permission, let's take off. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are not here just to celebrate. Of course, we are here to celebrate, but we are not here just to celebrate. We are here to recognize, to reflect, and to reignite a movement. International Women's Day, officially recognized by the United Nations, is more than just a date on the calendar. It's a global reminder that progress of women is progress of humanity. Because when women rise, economies grow, communities thrive, families flourish, and innovation accelerates. And yet, while we celebrate achievements, we must also confront reality. And what is that reality? Open your newspapers, check out your mobile phones, log into the internet, and reality strikes us. Across the world, women continue to face barriers everywhere. Barriers in leadership, barriers in pay equity, safety, representation, and even opportunity. Some progress, of course, has been made thanks to compliance and legislation, but progress, I repeat, but progress is not to be confused with parity. Today's panel consists of women who have walked their talk to freedom of choice. Our discussion is not to seek a polite applause. It is to bring about a real lasting change. It is about courage, clarity, and commitment to doing what is right at all times in all situations. We are here to ask a few questions today. 1, what does true equality really look like? What must change in workplaces and institutions, and most importantly, in our mindsets? And third, what will we do differently from now on, from this day onwards? Because International Women's Day, ladies and gentlemen, is not just about empowering women. It's about challenging systems and redesigning the future the way it needs to be and the way you want it to be. To our incredible panelists today, I thank you for being voices of leadership and change. To our enterprising audience, your questions, your actions, your influence matters from this moment onwards. Let this not just be any other event. Let this be a turning point where mindset shifts and women rise. Let's begin. Madam Vinodini, if I have your permission, can I begin with you?
Sure.
You have spearheaded training for over 20,000 students in numerous schools over the years. You are also the chairperson of the TIE University program for college students. As a charter member of the TIE Global Leadership Network, Mentoring Young Entrepreneurs program, you are the person I would like to begin with today. Madam, my first question is, what advice would you give to emerging women leaders who are still defining their purpose in professional life?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm indeed very happy to be here. I thank Mark for organizing this event and a beautiful, shall we say, a bouquet of panelists, co-panelists here with me from various walks of life, and it's going to bring various perspectives. So I'm sure this is going to be a very enlightening session for all. One thing I must start saying is when we talk about leaders and leadership, first we should define what who a leader is and what leadership is all about. And I will say that basically we have everyone who's present here is a leader in her own space. That is where it all begins. Because acknowledging within yourself that you are leading in some manner in your own sphere of activity is where leadership grows. So if you ask me, whatever you choose to do, be it your passion or profession, you find that if you define your goals clearly, you are a leader in that space. Now, what are the few things that you should do? Is first is look inwards and find your calling. It's not just about what you studied or what you decided that you will do in life professionally. There is a lot more that you can achieve and do because it's such a vast scale of activity lying out there like a blank slate, and it's up to you to fill it. And that is where all these leadership traits come in and how you organically grow into a leader. So I will suggest that you first is to find your calling, sharpen your skills, and also your expertise, bringing your expertise, collating it all and bringing it to the table and making sure that one main aspect of leadership, which is sharing it all. A leader is a giver because it is not, you don't become a leader unless you are able to give, to share what you know in terms of expertise and knowledge, unless you're able to hold the group together and help people grow and do that bit of handholding, you grow organically as a leader and you are sought after for these very traits because you are willing to share. This is one of the most important traits that leaders should have. And I think that most of us present over here, not just the panelists, but everybody here, if you look inward, look at your own lives, you'll find that you are leading in some manner or the other and making an impact in somebody's life or the other. And once you start acknowledging it, you decide that you will give more. And that is when your strengths grow. And when you sharp focus it and actually focus on the goals and areas where you want to give, that is where you become a leader in that sphere. So helping others achieve their goals is one of the main traits in leadership. So that it's not just about oneself, and it's about sharing, about caring, hand-holding, and helping others grow. And this is where a true leadership emerges. And you grow organically because we must remember that you cannot demand leadership. You can command it simply because you have given and you have been recognized and acknowledged for your giving and for your sharing and for the impact you might have created in the lives of one person, two persons, or numerous people around you. It is irrespective of what you have studied and where you are. I mean, I will just think there are examples even from our day-to-day lives. I had, for instance, there is a helper in my house. Now, if you look at her, she manages her finances very well. I have often noticed she manages her finances very well. She has identified her skill sets and she decides that she goes in for catering in some place simply because she's very good at that. She's identified that her children need to have larger goals and it should not be restricted to their current lifestyles. And she has made sure that the children have enhanced their goals to go out and study. I know that one of her sons has gone out actually to study data science and cyber security and areas, spheres of activity that otherwise, unless the mother had also pushed, would not have been achieved. Now, she's a leader in her own right. She's actually achieved, and not only by impacting her family, she's impacted people around her who see her story and want to emulate it. So doesn't that make her a leader? She is. Absolutely. So in each one of us, there is a leader line there, each one of us. It's up to us to find our calling, to open our eyes and see how we have impacted somebody and how you want that impact to grow. So I will say that you need to actually reinvent your goals. You can re-engineer, you can reinvent your goals and re-engineer your plans. Because take my case, I studied zoology. I was a rank holder and I'm a postgraduate in zoology looking at going in for genetic engineering at the Indian Institute of Sciences. For some quirk of fate, I could not join that year. In the meantime, I worked in advertising and branding, and I realized that, hey, this is also not bad at all. And why did that happen? Because I had a passion that I was growing alongside my science brain. So you will say that the left brain and the right were working together. So you were always looking after, you were into your creative aspects, you're a writer, you're a narrator, you're into so many aspects that also helps you build another side of a career. So it's important for you to keep your eyes open and see which part of your passion is going to work for you in your leadership, goals, to achieve leadership goals, and follow that path. Here I am from being an advertising person. I come into training, not because I'm earning from it. It's not my profession, but it's because I would love to deal and sit with children, make sure that you're building their futures and their growth. So, am I hearing an echo of sorts? I can hear a sort of disturbance. Mark, am I clear? There's some disturbance somewhere. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. And another thing I will say is advice to leaders is please always shout out your failures.
Request. Admin, can you please mute the panelists' mics on? Only the panelists keep the mics on. Over to you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I heard some disturbance in between. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was disturbance. Yeah.
So we were talking about how you reinvent yourself itself, you're reinventing your goals, you're re-engineering your plans, you're actually trying to see where you fit in and where you will make yourself useful, because there is an impact that you will create somewhere. I became a charter member of TIE, which is a global forum with 64 chapters globally, and it's the Indus Entrepreneur. It's a form of TIE. And what TIE does is actually give back, People in business come together to encourage and empower the entrepreneurship ecosystem around them where they are. So I found this passion simply because even earlier on, I was part of the government's training, group called the Face to Face, where I was one of the trainers, and I used to actually, even in COVID times, take training for government schools, going down to grassroots levels and empowering them, especially the vocational high secondary schools, and empowering them in order to how they can build their careers and how they can professionalize what they learn. So it started there. And it also started as being a good teacher, and you love to teach, and you're in the midst of children, which helps you grow and learn too. It keeps you really in touch with the current reality. So that is where I found this passion of training students, which is also part of our TIES ecosystem. And here we are. We have trained over 20,000 students in the last 4 years, and reaching out to schools across Kerala, and starting from government schools to CBSE schools to private schools. And it's an amazing effort, which we are now continuing through the Cochin Chamber, also after launching our startup wing, as well as our training divisions. Now, I will say that all of us need to identify our own leadership skills, each one of us, and make sure that we channelize our energies to help enable an ecosystem around you in whichever sphere that you choose to be in, not necessarily your professional sphere. So here I am. So this is one of the bits of information that I would like to share with all of you.
Wonderful. Excellent. Excellent. In fact, it was so awe-inspiring to know that, you brought up the leadership qualities in the lady who works in your home. And yes, indeed, she is a leader, because you've now thrown the gates open, ma'am. You've proved that leadership is not just a position, it's a mindset. At this point in time, I'd like to bring in Advocate Auxilia Peter. Ma'am, if you're there, may I ask you this question? Madam Auxilia. Madam Auxilia, are you on screen? I think I'll come back to Madam Auxilia a little later. Are you on screen, Madam Auxilia?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Loud and clear. Loud and clear. I hope you're not in court. I hope you're not
actually,
in
I was in the court. But anyway, I came to my chambers. Tell me.
This shouldn't become contempt of court.
No.
All
I'm not
right,
wearing my robes.
I'll make it brief. I'll make it brief. How do you stay aligned with your values when facing pressure or setbacks, especially in male-dominated work environments?
So, good afternoon, Mark, and for the director and my fellow panelists and all the participants. Now, basically, I'm a property lawyer. And you know well that you might have come across a lot of matters where daily updates are given from Supreme Court that women, even she's married, she gets right in the property. Or a widow, she gets right in her father's, her husband's property and all that. Initially, when I started my practice as a law intern in the year 1992, at those days, like very rarely you will find a woman gifted a property by her parents. You know, at the time of marriage, they'll give her a Sridhana, which consists of gold jewelries, cash, and household articles like mixie, grinder, washing machine, fridge. Very rarely parents give their daughter any property. In fact, what they would say is they'll ask her to write a release deed and relinquish her right in the properties. And the release deed will be in the name of the her parents or siblings. So normally, when a girl is given in marriage, they don't give any property to her. So this was the scenario. The scenario was very worse even at that point of time when I entered into the practice. So I started. I joined my senior's office in 1992 when women did not have much property right to litigate. So automatically, the clients will be only men. You know, women don't come to us because we are a property based law firm. So the judges who handle us are also men, and most of the lawyers are also men. But somehow I joined this office without knowing much that it is a property office. As a law student, we don't pick and choose. Whichever good office we get a placement, we join. So when I saw all this, and not many women clients also over there, and the men were literally scared when my seniors tell them that she will come and attend your case. They will be like, sir, how will she handle my case? So and my senior would always tell him, no, she can handle. Don't worry, she knows the matter. She will handle. So lot of challenges I face in this field, and I'm in this field for the past 32 years. Now the laws changed down. Now many women are coming and fighting for the right. But then how did I survive in this field for this long years? I just want to share this with you. The first is hard work. No, we need to spend a lot of hours in practice. Unlike the 9 to 5 job, even midnight. Sometimes we need to work even late night. Even today, tomorrow, if I have to attend a case in High Court, I'll get the list only night 9:30. I'll get the list. Only at 9:30, I will know what cases will be listed the next day in court, and thereafter we do the preparation. So initially, even in the initial years, I spent a lot of hours, in this field, and a lot of time I spent reading journals and legal literature. So that's how I developed my knowledge. And this is a profession where it's knowledge-based profession. So only when you know matters, client will come to you. So and I was able to handle and face these challenges only because of this. And most importantly, which I would like to insist here is this. I was I adhere to the dress code. This is very, very important. These days, like many young women, they enter into the field, but they're not able to survive because, they don't earn the respect because the dress that they choose to wear. They like to wear comfortable dress, 3/4 sleeveless. But when you come to a profession, when you want to stand for a long time in any career, then dress code is very, very important. The next is discipline. Discipline and integrity. I would say that it is these values which, I practice, and I practiced very sincerely. I was able to face the challenges, and I would also suggest the same to all the youngsters who are also, participating here. to be, to spend time in the work. Women now, it's not like 9 to 5 afterwards, I will not work. No, that's not going to work out at all. Then long hours is very important. And, you have to, improve your knowledge. You have to read a lot and, know what is going on in feel the current matters you should know. And the discipline and this dress, I would always insist on this dress code. And whenever I insist on this, I know many women have turned against me, but I insist on this. So thank you, Mark. I can,
well done.
Yes. Yes.
Well said, Mark. Well said. You summed up exactly what young women need to do in order to maintain their dignity and also to carry their respect forward. Well done. And I'm so happy that you use the word hard work as one of the pillars of the foundations with which you built your profession. Thank you so much. I would like to bring in Madam Elizabeth at this point in time. Madam, what do you think are the changes needed in organizations to ensure equality at all levels and importantly elevation to senior leadership?
Hi, Mark.
You being a senior HR, I suppose you'll be able to shed light on the question.
Only unmute.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Mark, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but
Yes.
we can't see you.
Okay.
Yes.
How about now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right. So, based on my work experience and the HR background that I have, my take on this is if we are serious about increasing the number of women in senior leadership, the organizations must build a system that are very clear, fair, and transparent. Promotions should not depend on favorism or some kind of personal connects. They should always be based on the performance and merits. So here is something to ponder. Ask ourselves straightforward and very important questions. Who is being given the real opportunity to grow? Who is being heard when decisions are being made? Who is being trusted to lead? Answers to these questions show us whether the opportunities are truly equal or not. So as HR, our role is bigger than just making policies. Our job is to create opportunities. That means, we have to find talents within the system, developing them, mentoring them, actively supporting them so that the potential does not get unnoticed. For me, gender equality in leadership does not mean just filling up the positions. It is about recognizing the talent that is already existing in our system and removing all kinds of barriers that hold it back. We also need to accept the fact that women are ambitious, and it's normally very, very normal and healthy thing to do. Women should not have to keep proving themselves, keep proving their credibility over and over again. These standards that are set should be the same for everyone, and I think the opportunities should be fair to everyone. So having said that, policies are not enough. A conducive culture matters. Women should feel safe when they speak up, when they take risk, when they negotiate, when they lead, and they should not be judged differently. And I must say that, accountability on tracking diversity and leadership is very important, just as we track sales or performance in the organization. Because the truth is, what we pay attention to is what gets better. So now the real question here is not whether whether women are ready to lead. It's whether the organizations are ready to create that allows them to lead. So let me tell you this: change happens only when we act with intention and have the courage to make it real.
I think that's a
Mark?
very important statement that you said. Change happens. Can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, you
Yes.
are audible.
Change happens. Change happens. Yeah, change happens, but only when people want it to happen. There was once upon a time, I I went for a training program on change management. So I asked the people, who wants change? And everybody raised their hands. My next question was, who wants to change? And nobody raised their hands. So everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change. Or very few people actually want to change. I think, as you have rightly said, women probably, possibly can be that beacon of change that the world now needs. Thank you so much, Madam Elizabeth. Can I move on to Ms. Suma? Suma, very short question, but a very, very, very precise question to you. How do you define your leadership purpose?
Hi, Mark, and thank you. I'm glad to be part of this session. Thanks to Don Bosco as well as Mark for inviting for the session and discussion. Thanks to the participants who have joined in. And yes, coming back to leadership purpose, I would say for any leader, or maybe in particularly if I have to tell about me, I look at three aspects as such. What is the purpose that drives me to bring in some kind of value that is for the organization, for the team, as well as for myself? So that is how my leadership purpose comes in. Am I making a benchmarking or an innovation or initiative in my organization that keeps me stand apart in the organization? How am I bringing in leaders from my own team? That's actually something which I sincerely look for. I love to create more leaders from my own team and whoever I know who is in touch with me. And I also know that many of my team members from the hotel industry are sitting in a GM position who used to handle an mid management or an HOD role, who keeps calling me for some kind of guidance and some kind of whenever they get recognition. It actually that is the purpose. When I get that achievement, ki my team member is standing in that position. So something which I very closely look at, how do I bring more leaders from my own team? So that is something, yeah, which defines leadership.
So your brand of leadership, Madam Suma, is to create new leaders as well, isn't it? The goal of leadership is not just to be a leader,
yes,
but it's also
I very closely look at.
It's also create a pipeline of leaders.
Yes.
Well said, well said, well said. If I may just move on to Madam Padma Jayaram, in your professional life, can you enlighten us on how your sense of purpose has evolved over time?
Okay, and so thank you for this opportunity, Mark, and to Don Bosco Varigati. It's almost transporting me back to my world of, when I used to work in the social sector. So, coming to your question, Mark, I think youth employability and employment has been my purpose for about 3.5 decades now, right? But if you ask me whether I knew that it was my purpose when I got out of college, definitely not. Like any other young girl out of college, I wanted to fall in love, get into romance, get married, settle down in life, not go to work. So that was my aspiration, that was my ambition, right? And I did exactly that. So while I was studying, I got married, I fell in love. And then after marriage is when I started, going to work. And that also happened very accidentally. Those days, I mean, I'm sure a lot of panelists are my age. So if you're sitting idle at home and the husband goes to work, you have nothing else to do at home, you enroll yourself for a computer course, right? And this was the boom of computer training. The aptechs and the NITs happened at that point in time. So I go into an aptech center for a course, and aptech offered me a job, right? And I was like, very enthusiastic because someone was giving you a job without even attempting to get into work, right? That's how the first instance happened. And I joined as a counselor, and I was like 20, 21, I guess, and my students were 19, 20. So we were just about 2 years apart. And the fact is, they all looked at me with unconditional trust because I was married, not just the student, but also the parents. And for some reason, they trusted me implicitly with whatever advice. I didn't understand counseling itself at that point in time, right? So I did what I did. But, after about 20 years in the IT training industry, is when I realized that this is my calling. This is something I do very well. Somehow I fit into that universe of 18 to 25 years. People trust me for what I'm doing. And then I got an opportunity to work in the social sector. I was part of India's largest NGO which was doing, skilling for youth and getting them placed and all that. So within a span of about 10 years, I trained about 2.5 lakh students. I would have mentored some 30,000 youth, and I'm still connected to about 15,000 of them after about another decade, right? And so I realized it as my purpose only when COVID hit, honestly, right? So that was, about 2021. And then I moved from the social sector to a corporate organization like Movate, where I handle campus recruitment. But that is when I realized it also evolved, right? Because like I said, my universe has been 18 to 25 years. So I've never tried to get out of this space. I knew this is my calling. I knew that this is something that I'm passionate about. Even in Movate, I'm an independent contributor, and I joined here not because this was a corporate or I got a certain salary, but again, I get to work with youth. And not many organizations have very senior people as campus recruitment leader and all that. I'm here because I also mentor them for about 2 years, right? We have created career pathways within the organization. So I ensure someone who comes at the lowest grade as a trainee get their fitment over the next couple of years. They'll stay with me for the first 2 years. And I realized that this is something that I will continue, because I've also got my own foundation right now in the Delta region, because that is where I come from. I'm 4 years into retirement, but the work that I do will definitely continue, at least as long as God is willing and health is willing. But like Vinodini said, it's been a very organic evolution. I didn't decide to be here, but this is where I am, and this is what I'm good at, and this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. That I'm also part of policy making with the government and all that. Yeah, so I think you need to give yourself that kind of time to even understand what your purpose is. It will evolve if you're truly passionate about something. Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said. It's so nice to hear your story, and I'm sure the initial part of your life has given a lot of audience goosebumps over here. But well said. And so well said about the passion, and you actually came into this profession by accident, but you grew to love it, and it's your passion that has taken you this far. Thank you so very much for your wonderful inputs, Madam Padma. Um, Ms. Niveda is the youngest member, but one of the most dynamic members of this panel. And it's a proud privilege for Don Bosco Varikati to also call her their student. So Niveda, if I may ask you this question, from a student of Don Bosco Varikati to deputy manager at Yes Bank, and importantly, a two-time Mountain Moor Award winner and Shining Star Award winner. Just tell us, how did you do it?
So before going into this, I would like to thank Don Bosco Varikati, Sindhu ma'am, Jennifer ma'am, and Mr. Mark Antony for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. So getting back to the discussion, so this question is reminding me the complete roller coaster journey what I've gone through. But I'm telling you, this is not with the shortcuts, not with the privileges, but with the faith and the focus that I did. I did this by showing up on the days where I wanted to give up, but by choosing discipline over excuses, discipline over comfort, by trusting God when I couldn't trust my own strength itself, by remembering where I actually come from. I decided not to myself. Don Bosco Varikati, where I started my career, that shaped my complete foundation. And the challenges post coming out of Don Bosco Varikati, the challenges that I faced shaped my character, work that shaped my confidence, and lastly, God's grace shaped my entire journey. Every award that I have got is not just a title, but it is a testimony for my hard work. And every promotion that I've got is not just a success, it is a proof that consistency really works. If a girl like me with a limited support can raise step by step, then that means background does not define one's destiny. If I had considered my background as a barrier, then my journey would have stopped long before this point because my background is different. The current path is different. So I personally feel that what I supposed to say is this is not just an end, it is a beginning for my career, and I'm still climbing. Thank you.
Nice, nice. I think Vinodini madam has already given you an applause.
Thank you, Vinodini.
I could see that on screen. Well done. Continue the exuberance, continue the dynamism would in some manner or the other would cheer for you during the course of your career.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's go to round two. My dear esteemed panelists, we've taken half an hour for round one. We have another half an hour to go, and we've got 2 rounds to go. So may I implore each and every one of you to kindly give me your answers in 2 minutes. I know that you can speak for hours on these topics but for the purpose of the brevity of time, I would implore you to give me your responses in 2 minutes. Let me go to round two, and we'll start with Madam Elizabeth this time, if you don't mind, Madam. How
Sure.
the purpose, progress, and well-being of women in the world of work.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, your voice was breaking. Can you repeat the question?
I'll repeat the question. How does organizational work culture impact the purpose, progress, and well-being of women in the world of work?
Okay. So let's understand this very clearly. Organization culture, like I mentioned earlier, is not about just policies. It's about how people are treated every single day at workplace. That makes a very big difference for women. That determines whether she will grow or she'll step back. The organization culture generally affects purpose. When a woman feels respected, she feels heard, and she feels valued, she gives her best. Generally, women don't work for paychecks alone. They work with conviction to contribute. They want to give their best. Mostly, I have seen that culture affects progress for women if uh, what I've noticed is many women don't drop out because they lack capability. They drop out because opportunities are not enough, they are not made available to them. And if at all the opportunities are available, they are not equal for them. The like in my previous answer, I mentioned that promotions or opportunities rely on influence, and performance assessments are shaped by bias. So it is obvious in such a scenario, the growth slows down. So when opportunities are fair and transparent, you will see them moving forward. The organization culture also affects the well-being of employees. So where you find women constantly in a situation where they have to prove themselves, they deal with subtle bias, they carry guilt about balancing work and home. It creates a lot of stress. And over time, it's just not the confidence that gets affected. It starts showing up mentally, emotionally, physically. And this leads to a lot of health issues, burnouts, depressions, anxieties. And like in the past, stress is not invisible anymore. It shows up very evidently on people. So, as organizations, it's a moral responsibility to create an environment where speaking up is safe, ambition is respected, flexible, the flexibility is normal, performance standards are fair. For women at work, it's not about just surviving, it's also about thriving. So, when women feel supported, they perform better. And when they progress, you can see stronger innovations, better decision making, and organizations are more productive and sustainable. So, work culture is not a women issue, it's a business continuity issue. And this impacts the employees, people's health, performance, and it also impacts the business results. I hope I have answered it right.
Yes, yes. So the point you have made is so very clear. Culture is not something that is written on the walls. It is how you actually put it into practice and how people feel within the walls of an organization. Point in time. What barriers have you had to overcome in your leadership progress, and how did you overcome them?
So I think, barriers are there for both men and women. Okay. I think for women, it's even more bigger because genetically we are, committed to certain roles in life that we can't go back and all that. And therefore, it looms large in front of us, right? But I think in my personal journey, I've always looked at every barrier as an opportunity. Okay. I've, steadfast moved on in life, try to create a certain support system for myself. I'm so happy for Niveda when she says she's been from Don Bosco and she is where she is. Like Elizabeth said, organizations are also creating that culture of change from within. In my case, one, I came from a small town. Most of the cases, I didn't know what I was getting into. I got into things like that. I had a child with a metabolic disorder. I lost my husband at a very, very young age, right? This on the personal side. On the professional side, like Elizabeth said, it's always difficult to climb up the ladder, when you keep moving jobs or even within the organization, I think. And for women, like Elizabeth said, when you are going on a straight line and suddenly it becomes a wife, right? You have the personal side where you get married, then you get pregnant, you deliver. That is also a very important aspect of our journey of life. And the other end, you're being considered for a promotion. There is a certain assignment that comes your way, and often your minds keep toggling on, what you need to do, how you need to do. I generally tell the girls whom I mentor, because I am a big advocate of women allyhood. I'm also a big advocate of women staying in jobs. I think that is also very, very important. Otherwise, I think they think very selfishly. They're just thinking for themselves when we older women have created those pathways for them, right? So I think it's important to create those support systems for yourself. Generally, I tell my girls, make your mother in law your best friend. If that can happen, the rest is assured. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything else, because the home front is actually being guarded and taken care of by someone. Okay. And that is exactly what I did. I also had the privilege of having friends and family with me. I was part of a joint family. I also had employers who've been extremely sensitive to the kind of problems that I've had. And this has happened only because I've been very passionate about my work. I've worked very hard, delivered at every point in time, been extremely disciplined with a lot of integrity, a lot of transparency. So they've been sensitive to my problems. And I think it's because of how I've created this whole environment around myself to make sure that these barriers do not obstruct my growth. I think that's what has helped me until now. Yeah.
Wonderful piece of advice you've given once again, Madam Padma, of making your mother-in-law your best friend. Okay, so I'm sure people will take that forward, and I can see a lot of reactions coming up to that particular statement. Well said, well said. Ms. Suma, can I bring you in at this point in time? Suma?
Yes, Mark. I
Yes.
was just listening to Miss Padma also, and maybe I resonate with what she said. Make your mother-in-law your best friend. I think my mother-in-law also played a vital role in my career growth.
By the way, is she watching this program today?
No. I'll send the recording to her.
You would have sent this to her, especially this particular part. Fantastic.
Yes.
Anyway, Suma, let me come to the question. Have you experienced a moment at any point in time of your career where progress felt especially hard won? And if so, what kept you going forward?
So, Mark, yes, as I would like to say, I'm also coming from a very traditional family. For them, hotel management was something key. Why hotel management? They never wanted me to get into this industry at all. And yes, I chose to be in that industry, and I love the industry a lot. It's a very glamorous field. I actually, the one thing, yes, my family never wanted it to be in hotel management. I think that is one place where I wanted to prove myself, and I was so passionate about the industry. The time when I went from a mid management level to a general manager position, I think that was something which was a moment which I felt wow, and which my family also equally felt wow. And that was a struggling time. I think I have gone through a lot of hard work and discipline, which has actually brought me into a general manager position. Especially in the state of Kerala, it's very difficult to come in as a lady general manager with a lot of hurdles there in terms of union coming in, I won't say the complete mindset, but yes, it is a very different mindset that the place has wherever I have worked remotely. So those were actually quite challenging for me, and going into a very prestigious position, especially being a lady. And I was at one point of time, I was the only lady general manager in the state of Kerala, which actually Matrabhumi and many other channels covered it. So I think that was a hard one for me. And my family was really happy with that. So now coming to what actually drove me or what keep me moving every time or which actually led me to accomplish more and more was, I think, the colleagues around me, and of course my mother-in-law. She was very helpful taking care of my baby at a very young stage. And yes, the mentors. So I will not leave out my bosses who were actually bringing in a lot of challenges. Ki ye bhi karo, wo bhi karo. And they were all just pushing it across. And I was like, yes, why can't we do it? Why only men have to do this? So that is something which kept us moving across.
Wonderful. Well said, Suma. So all's well that ends well, it is said. So
yes,
you've had a lot of turbulence and you have proved yourself. And congratulations for being one of the foremost GMs to have emerged in the hospitality industry. Can I move on to Madam Vinodini? Madam, leadership often comes with a lot of pressure. You, for one, know that very well. How do you protect your well-being while carrying out your many responsibilities?
Yes, that's a good question. And I think one is we are all capable of multitasking. And we don't need to limit our minds to say that we can only do so much and not more. That itself builds the pressure, if you ask me. We see our brain is capable of handling immense amount of data, and there is immense amount of things that we can do, except physically if we have any limitations. But otherwise, I think it is important for us to acknowledge that we should not let pressure build up, because we call it pressure. Stress is there. Yes, everyday stresses are there, but yeah, we are multitaskers. But from my own personal life, there are a few small tips that I think that I use for keeping my own sense of balance and staying happy and alert and doing all these things irrespective of the stress levels or pressures or the demands from various segments that you are, sectors that you're involved in. One is, I think we should surround ourselves with the energy you want to own. You want to own a kind of energy, we should surround ourselves with that kind of energy. If you are actually, even if you have a handful of friends who are your well-wishers, that self adds to energy. If you're following a passion like training, staying with youth, again, you are learning a lot from the youngsters, and that itself imparts energy to you. And it is not, as part of your giving, you're also gaining. So that is another level of energy that you're surrounding yourself with. So it's very important that for us, we must choose the energy that we want to surround ourselves with. That is one thing. Then giving more time to youth and to people who are aging, there is a lot that you can do. And giving some time to charity, like through Rotary or some of those services where you're actually getting involved in group community activity, it is very relaxing. It is actually, it only opens another dimension of your mind. Like I said, we are capable of doing multiple things. So there is a bit of a charity activity. There is a bit of compassion activity with aging. There is something that you're doing with youth that is keeping you energized. The kind of things that you surround yourself with, and the fact that you have to be like a sponge, and I think that is relaxing me a lot, because you're constantly reading up, absorbing, watching things in cooking, from training in some craft, and the kind of things that you learn simply because you are absorbing like a sponge. That keeps your mind fresh all the time, and that is a very important aspect of well-being, besides of course your meditation or trying to stay calm whenever you find the time. So when you're driving too, you like to think that, okay, I'm calming my mind, and you'd like to say something that is really calming your mind. So happiness that you build for yourself is what will ultimately make you is stress free, or rather you can't say stress free, it is about maintaining your well-being. Then of course following your passion, just do everything that you love to do, whether it's music, dance, art, craft, travel. Travel is such an inspiring thing, and it actually opens your mind out. And the best thing for well-being is travel. Take a travel break and you come back re-energized and full of energy to do 100 things more, because from each travel you absorb and you learn so many new things, and you can bring into your life as well as the things that you do. So I think keeping, of course, maintaining a decent level of fitness and good health, and making sure that as women we watch ourselves, that I think it goes a long way in ensuring that our mental and physical well-being is maintained simultaneously. More
A
than that,
healthy mind.
yeah, one more thing is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
I think we should guard our personal spaces today in this era of digital media. I think it is very crucial not to put everything out there, because it is only piling on the pressure, because your expectations that you have built up are going to challenge your time, and it's going to challenge your mental well-being. So it is always important to use it fruitfully and make sure that not all of your personal life is put out there. And guarding your personal space also keeps you a lot more peaceful. That's all I have to say.
I think that's a very, very important point you made. Especially in today's digital age, and there's a lot of youngsters watching this program today. The message is loud and clear. You should know that the word discretion becomes very important. You should know what to share, and you should know what to keep private. And what is private should never be made public. And that's how life, you protect your own mental and emotional well-being. Well said, Binodini man. Let me move on to Niveta right now for this question. Niveta, how do you deal with stressful situations, and what have you learned from it?
Thank you for this question again. So basically, I deal with the stress by pausing before reacting, because pressure or stress is a temporary thing, but my response to that specific thing is permanent. So whenever the situation gets heavy, I pause. I ask myself what the situation is asking, just teaching me, and instead of asking why it is happening to me, I'll check that. I focus on the solution and give the best to what I can control. Rest, I surrender to God. From my journey from Don Bosco Varikati to the deputy manager in S Bank, I have learned that every level brings a new pressure. But that pressure is the proof that we are actually growing. Now, currently, I don't fear stress. I face it, I learn it, and I rise through it, because pressure does not crush diamonds, it creates it. So eventually, what I would conclude is stress is no longer my enemy, it become my trainer.
Very nice. Well said. Pressure reveals character. You know, uh, ships. There are ships which are built for shore, and there are ships which are built for the sea. The difference is on how much it can withstand and how much it can overcome. Well said, Niveta. Madam Auxilia, if I may bring you in for this final question in round two. What are the ways in which women can support other women in achieving collective progress?
So before answering the question, I just want to share one matter with you. You might have heard about this women reservation bill, where the government brought out a bill to bring 33% of women to the parliament and to the state assembly. This happened in September 2023. Of course, it will come into practice only after the census. And the census is not happening. So we are waiting for that to happen. Now, at that point of time, a lot of debates happen. Why women should come to, why 33% of reservation should be given to women in the parliament and in the assembly. And overall, the consensus that was, that they reached this to empower women socially and economically. It is very important that 33% reservation should be given to women. So I would insist that this should be everywhere. In fact, in judiciary, in Tamil Nadu judiciary, they made a policy that 33% of women should be made as judges. So as of now, a lot of women, you can see a lot of women judges these days in our courts. When I started my practice, say there is a case involving sexual harassment or a sexual assault, the public prosecutor will be a male, the judge will be a male, and the lawyer will be a male, and the victim will be a woman, and she will, she'll be so embarrassed even to talk about it. So, but as of now, the situation has changed a lot. Lot of public prosecutors, assistant public prosecutors are women, and judges are also women, and Mahila courts are also established. So, this is, you might have come across a lot of cases are getting reported. It's happening because they are comfortable. Seeing women over there, so they're comfortable, to share their views, share the incident, the unfortunate incident that had happened to them. And you all know when CM Jayalalitha was there, she opened a lot of women police station. Which encouraged women, to go to the station with complaints, and they were able to get redressal. Of course, few were misusing it. I'm not on that, but then many women victims, they could find some solution after all these reservation, these policy changes happen. So the same way in everywhere we are. I say we are in a corporate office or in a law firm or in an hospital, wherever we are, we try to bring more women. Give them more job, give them more opportunity, so that that will automatically help the society to grow. It will help in the growth of empowerment of women, and the entire society will grow only when women are empowered. So I would always insist on this.
At this juncture,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. At this juncture, I want to ask the audience, if you say that 33% is not sufficient and we need to go for 50% women and 50% men in all professions, give it a thumbs up. Let's see what the audience says. Give it a like. I'm saying don't stop with 33, go for 50. We're looking at parity, we're looking at equality. Equality for women and equality for men. 50 everybody. Great. Great. I find a lot of responses coming in right now. Madam Auxilia, you've just set the ball rolling. Everybody wants 50% now. What do you think of that? Is it okay?
But then even 33% reservation, though the act is passed, it could not be implemented because census is not, even initiative is not done it. So it's not. It's easy to say, but then some policies, wherever a corporate office or a firm or even in the government sectors, I think there should be some policy where at least 33% women, should be given placement. Maybe that will help, to begin with. I think that is the policy change will, certainly help women.
Absolutely. Let me now go to round 3, and my humble request to all my panelists is, if we can keep these responses to 1.5 minutes each, I will salute each and every one of you. I'll start with Ms. Suma. Suma, what do you think every organization needs to do in order to ensure the mental well-being of its women? And you work for a very good organization. Tell me, what should an organization do to ensure the mental well-being of its women?
Nice question, Mark. With regard to the organizations that I have worked with, as I think they have taken care of the women in their family. But Brigade as such is taking care of the women employees in a great extent. They do a lot of activities in terms of awareness sessions. We have yogas, we have trainings that keeps going. We have a lot of activities. If I have to say, in Women's Day itself, we have a full day staycations that's been planned by Brigade. We have a nice high tea and a dinner planned by Brigade. So they take care of the women employee a lot. And all the past organizations also that I have worked with, we have been taken care of. But now since this is for a general audience that we are talking about, I feel recognition is something which everyone would like to look upon. And recognition is something which actually drives them to do more, and they feel they are recognized in a platform where they are equally working with their counterparts. So that is something which recognizes and which actually takes them or drives them to do more, and they feel worth doing something at that organization. And I would also like to include, when it comes to well-being, there are two type of categories that we have. We have a set of people who work in a corporate setup or so and so. But from my past experience, when we work in the hotels, we have a set of team members who work in the mid management or an executive supervisor level of team. So for them, it's always trainings, awareness, what best they can come up with. That is what is actually well-being, what I feel they feel at the workplace. I would also give an example here. What they feel happy when they have to balance between the family as personal as well as the professional setup. We always used to tell them, Ki, please bring in your family to the hotel to show your office, to show what you do. So that brings actually a collaboration and bonding to understand what my family member is doing at the hotel. So seeing their workplace, seeing their workstations. So it is like it's a part of well-being is what I feel for that category of a team that is working with us. So I think recognition plays a vital role, and yes, a lot of activities are in line at many organizations nowadays, which takes care of the mental well-being of the person.
Well said. It's all about recognizing the contribution of people and valuing every single person for who they are. Well said, Suma. Thank you so much for your wonderful response. Let me move on to Niveta. As a young professional, where do you see yourself? I know this is a very hypothetical question, but where do you see yourself 10 years from now, and how do you plan to get there?
Thank you again. So, 10 years from now, I see a woman who has evolved not just the position, but in power, purpose, and the presence. I see myself at a senior leadership table in the financial sector, shaping the strategies, monitoring young professionals, and making decisions that really create a great impact. I want to be a kind of a leader who creates opportunity for others, just like someone once who did it for me. I want my name to stand for the credibility, my work to reflect excellence, my journey to inspire someone who once stood where I stood. I will definitely reach this place not just by luck, but by my layered growth. I will keep learning to upgrade my knowledge. I will build strong network where I can learn from others as well. I will choose challenging roles over an easy routines and staying disciplined even when it is hard. I'm not in the race actually with anyone. I'm in the commitment with myself to grow, to lead, to elevate others as I rise. And I'm building a powerful woman within me. Thank you.
Good. I can see the confidence, brimming in you, and I must really applaud Don Bosco Varikati for having trained this young lady to make her what she is today. Bravo to all of you. Well spoken, Niveta. Well spoken, Niveta. Let me move to Advocate Auxilia. Ma'am, my question is, what daily or weekly practice helps you protect your well-being?
Uh, Actually, what this is what I am doing is I park my car, away from the space, and I just walk because I don't find time for walking. So somehow I gain time for walking by parking my car at a distance. That's one thing that I'm doing very regularly these days. And see, well, for the working women, I would suggest this. Though we do a lot of multitasking, when I started taking up full-time work, I engaged a cook and domestic help. And that way I was able to help two other families also to develop themselves. So I would suggest that don't take up all the work. Also, whatever that salary that you get, also give a little bit to others also, and engage them also in some in work. And that time I utilize reading the newspaper and watching the news channel. No, that's very important for us. We need to know what's going on. The latest development every day, some high court or some Supreme Court, they come out with some judgments. So we need to know that. No, when I go and argue a case, I must tell the judge the latest judgment. I cannot quote some old judgment. So this really helped me. For several years I had a, and I could, when their children grew, that they are in a good good offices. And, I'm really happy about it because it is the opportunity that I provided to them. They were able to their family also came up in life. So that's something which I would give this as an advice. And in weekly practice, this is the maybe this is the only thing I'm doing as of now. And I spend a lot of time in prayer, visiting the church. So whenever people come to us with a lot of issues, right? They come to a lawyer only to solve issues. To solve their issues, of course, other skills will help. And more importantly, also pray a lot for myself and for also my clients, so that some solution, they also some solution could be reached. So these are the practices I actually, this is what I practice for my well-being.
Madam, wonderful. It's a Japanese principle. Basically, those who arrive first park their vehicles far away from their work spot, so that they can they can also build up their health and also provide others who are coming just in time an opportunity to reach their offices faster. My question over here is a little different one right now, but it's been a real challenge to find parking space near the High Court. How do you find parking space near the High Court?
Fortunately, I'm a lawyer, so I can park my car inside the premises. So that's not a
Yeah, but
problem.
inside the premises also, finding space inside the premises also is a challenge, right?
No, that I find. But what I do is I park my car in St. Anthony's Church. In that campus I park, so that I can walk all the way to the court.
Okay, so that's the secret. That's the secret of good health.
I have a slot here as well as there, so I'm able to manage.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for your insights, Madam Padma Jairam. It's been a while since I asked you a question. May I bring you in at this juncture?
Yes.
Madam? Yes. What does long-term sustainable success and well-being of women mean? And how can it actually become a reality for all women?
I think long terms, before I think we even attempt, to have success, I think it's important to have sustainability, because today, since I'm also part of women's initiatives in my own organization, and I work with a lot of girls in the state, it is difficult for them to sustain in a job, right? Once they move to, let's say, a junior manager or a manager level, they all tend to drop, right? Because of various reasons, domestic reasons, children, other reasons and all that. I hope and pray that they find solutions to that, and they make sure that they stay in the job first, to even aspire for success within an organization, because success, I think, itself is a very relative term. What defines success for you, right? Well-being, of course, because I don't think women generally prioritize well-being at all, emotional or mental or physical and all that. When my boys go to work, and they come back and say, I want to buy a gold chain for my mother, the first thing I tell them is, get her a good mediclaim. you know the chain can wait, because as women, I think we all go through hormonal issues once we hit 40, and it's important to prioritize well-being, take those long walks, do something for yourselves. Even sitting idle by yourself is okay for me, but I think we have to get there. And for that, I think, like I said, it's important to have communities where women inspire women, women handhold women, so that they understand. I also part of some board of councils and academic councils and institutions where I tell them it's important to have courses for women. There are courses for plastic, there are courses for environmental, how you keep your environment green building and all that, but you don't have courses for women. I think women are definitely better than plastic. We need a place there, is what I think. And quality, I think, courage is what I think is important for all women out there. I mean, there is no need to have fear about anything or anyone. We have a place, and I think it's important to voice, wherever you need to have your voice. I mean, you don't have to think of social constructs, you don't have to think of hierarchy in organizations. I mean, if you have created a niche for yourself, if they know that they are dependent on you for certain outcomes, they will listen to your voice, is what I think. And I've had a voice since I was 2021, and I hope that I will have in the future also. Yeah, and I think that's one
Wonderful.
quality that all women should strive for. No fear, only courage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Madam, in fact, I grew up hearing this saying, behind every successful man, there is a woman. And when I grew into manhood, I changed it a little bit. I replaced the word behind. I said, not behind. Beside every successful man is a woman.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I also say that beside every successful woman is another woman as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much for your wonderful insights. Madam Vinodini, can I bring you in for the penultimate question of the day? If you could change one thing for women in leadership everywhere, what would it be and how would you do it?
Good question. See, I come from a family of four girls, four daughters. And I think we were introduced into women in leadership right from a very young age, simply because my father was always there, encouraging and telling us that there is no such thing as inequality. You see yourself as somebody who will be along with a man, competing with men, and doing everything that men do, and you are operating in an equal space. We grew up like that, and that itself was a transformative thing, which is why it is so important that you need to take the men along. It is so important that in a conference like this, we should try to remove the word woman leadership. Is the one thing that I would really love to see in the future, where we are not saying woman leader, woman leadership, and all that, because we are all leaders. If we want equality, we need to be addressed as just leaders, along with everybody else. It is the one thing that has to change, and I'm sure that the change is coming, simply because now you're finding that in the newer generation, you're finding that men are actually multitasking along with women, supporting their wives to continue their jobs when children are born, and helping on every front. You're finding bosses who are women who are supporting their subordinates who are not just men, and also the women. It is important for us to take men along. We need to remove the word woman attached to, prefix to anything that is being mentioned, with regard to our own growth. Because if we want equality, we should also claim equality. We should be treated as equals, despite the fact that there are obstacles and whatever. Those are minor things, and things are changing. There are so many avenues whereby obstacles are being overcome, right? Even the government is doing things, courts are doing things, it's happening. But primarily, I think we women should take it upon ourselves not to want those extra privileges as women wherever it suits us, and then be called equals where it suits us. So let's get that clear. Our aim should be to take men along, sensitize them also to our own issues, so that they help enable the growth of women, and women also enable the growth of men. So let's try to underplay the woman in the woman leadership and in any usage where there is growth. So I'm sure that is a way ahead for the world. And we will see that because women are in all spheres of activity. Yeah.
Very well said, ma'am. It just takes me back almost 30, 35 years when my parents told me, when I finished school, they told me, obstacles are those things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. And I think it's very important for everyone to realize today that your destiny is in your hands and equality is your birthright. Let me go to the final question of the day, Madam Elizabeth. You've been a HR, you're well traveled, you're well read, you have mentored so many people, you are also an internationally certified coach. You stand up for women everywhere, even if you know them or not. My question to you, Madam Elizabeth, is what does she leads mean to you? And what is your message for women in professional life?
So, Mark, to me, she leads is something very personal. It represents every woman who chooses courage over comfort. Every woman who continues to push forward, break the barriers, balance multiple responsibility, and still show up with a lot of strength and determination. For me, it's a reflection of a journey of women who rise despite the doubt. Whether the doubt comes from the family, whether it comes from the loved ones, whether it's the society, it's the colleagues, it's the system, or sometimes even from within themselves. She leads is something about resilience. It is about standing tall even when the road is tough, when the path is difficult. And my message to women in professional life is that the corporate life or the corporate world is not very easy. There will always be challenges, setbacks, moments of doubts, but do not lose yourself trying to succeed in it. You do not have to become someone else to lead it. You have to be yourself, be authentic, be confident in who you are. Don't shrink your ambition to make others comfortable. Don't compromise your values just to fit in there. Growth happens when you are staying true to yourself and true to your strengths. And, you know, women need to invest in themselves. They need to build their competence, their confidence. They need to keep learning. Choose a workplace that is valuing your contribution, that values you as an individual. Your expertise should strengthen your voice, and never mistake bias for inefficiency. Never think that you're less. The world does not just need women in leadership positions. I feel it needs women to lead themselves, because when one woman rises with confidence, she inspires so many others. And my mother is a true example of this. And this is why I mentioned at the beginning that she leads is very personal to me.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. You took me back to my college years where I remember my late Professor Venugopal, who is no more, but I had the good fortune of studying under his tutorage at Loyola College, Chennai. This was in the late 90s, early 2000. He said, leaders know the way, show the way, go the way, but never quit midway. I think that's the message that all six of you have delivered today through this masterful session that you have done. Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring today's discussion to its conclusion, let's bring this back to where it truly matters: our workplaces, our institutions, our homes. International Women's Day calls for accelerated action. And across the world today, that acceleration is urgent. Today, women's labor force participation in India is significantly below global averages. Women hold roughly 18% of senior leadership roles in corporate India. And while board representation has improved due to regulatory mandates, executive pipelines remain uneven. The challenges extend beyond mere numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to know what real change sounds like? Then hear this very carefully. I'm telling you today, change is possible. And that's why all of us are asking for action: specific, measurable, accountable, time-bound action. My message on behalf of all the panelists to managements is: commit publicly to measurable gender balance, goals for hiring and promotion with quarterly progress updates. Our message to HR's, finance, operational teams: audit pay equity and leadership pipelines, and execute targeted development programs that remove bias from recruitment, appraisals, and promotion. The message to managers is loud and clear. Create sponsorship plans, not just mentorship plans, for women with high potential talent. And for God's sake and your own sakes, managers, get rid of this concept called PIP, because it shows that if somebody under your mentorship has gone into PIP, it reflects on the kind of manager that you have been. To organizations, and this message is loud and clear: embed inclusive decision making into the DNA of your culture, not just your policies. Because an enterprise where women survive is different from an enterprise where women lead. And the world's economic future depends on shifting from survival to leadership. On behalf of all the esteemed panelists, Don Bosco Varikati and Maestro Human Resources Private Limited, I want to tell all the students in this audience this: International Women's Day is not just about celebrating women who broke through the barriers in the past, and those women are on your screen today. It's about preparing the generation that will refuse to accept barriers in the future. And that generation is you. You are the architects of your own future. And girls, remember this: equality is your birthright. Equality will not be decided only in parliaments or boardrooms. It will be decided in classrooms, in group projects, in startups, in friendships, in everyday choices, and first and foremost, listen to this very carefully, first and foremost, equality begins in your homes. The world you inherit is not perfect, but the world you build can be certainly better. Let this not be another event you just witnessed. Let it be a moment you decide what kind of person you want to be. Be bold enough to challenge stereotypes. Be confident enough to claim space. Be courageous enough to stand for equality, even when it is uncomfortable. Because that's what every single panelist over here has stressed upon. Equality is not just a women's issue, ladies and gentlemen. It is a generation's responsibility. So here's what you must do. And this is not just for the girls in the audience, it's also for the boys in various institutions who have tuned in today. When you form teams, choose inclusion. When someone is silenced because she's a girl, amplify her voice. When you see bias, question it. When you lead, lead fairly. When you succeed, lift others up along with you. And when you build a future that is fair, fearless, and equal, you will build a stronger society, a stronger community, a stronger country, a stronger world. Do not wait to be powerful to create change. Your mindset today becomes the culture of tomorrow. May this be the day you turn intention into impact. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I wish everyone over here a happy International Women's Day in advance. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much. We will take a few questions from now. I'm sure the MCs will take it forward from here. Panelists, you've been fantastic. It's been an honor for me to be part of your panel. It's been an honor for me to be in an esteemed gathering of 6 excellent women. And I'm sure the message is loud and clear. You are the future of change. Thank you so very much. Over to you, MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, sir.
We'll have a few questions.
Yes. We will now move on to the Q&A session. The time allotted for this session is just 15 minutes, and hence I request the audience to keep the questions precise. I request Mr. Nidhi Manikam to facilitate the Q&A session.
Okay, it's time to post the question towards the panelists. So students, you're ready. And there is a first question from the AVC student. So you can raise the question.
So, very good afternoon to everybody present here. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
yes.
Okay. So, my question is, if society truly believes in women's leadership, why are women still expected to sacrifice their purpose, their progress, or their well being just to prove that they deserve a place at the table?
Any of the
That's a wonderful
panelists can take
question.
this question. Any of the panelists can feel free to take this question.
Would be better if she can repeat the question again.
Sure, ma'am. If society truly believes in women's leadership, why are women still expected to sacrifice their purpose, their progress, or even their well being just to prove that they deserve a place at the table?
Good question, Yarini.
A
Niveda, you would
wonderful
like to take this
question.
question?
I didn't hear you, Mr. Mark.
Would you like to take this question?
Mark, I'll just add on my point for the question here.
Please.
Am I audible?
Yes, Subha, you are.
Yes. So basically, see what I understand from whatever my past experience has been, why there is a resistance for the women to come up is mainly with their awareness also. What there is something which is stopping them to come into that position. Maybe there are very limited number of leaders who are there in that industry who they see it and they actually want to get that hard work that needs to be done. Many women doesn't get into that, so I feel they just get stopped there and they are in their comfort zone. Even women needs to come out from their comfort zone and get into that hard work and discipline to be in that leadership position. So I am sure if they just break that barrier and come out of that, they definitely have a place there. Yes, you have a male dominated presence there, but still that barrier needs to be broken to come out from that comfort zone and be in that position.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
Well said, ma'am. So others can also post the question. So you have limited time only, so you can post the question towards the panelists.
Requested panelist, can I just add on another question?
Yes, yes.
So, like, what I want to ask is, why is women's resilience is celebrated by the system that exhausts them just remain unchanged? Why are they celebrating the resilience when the system is never changed? I really want to know the answer for this question.
That's a good question, Yalini. So, panelists, you heard the question.
Yarni, that's a very interesting question, Yarni. But let me tell you, women are actually species of courage. Okay, so I don't think we are celebrated for resilience now. By nature, I think we are always known for our courage. If you look at the hummingbird, right? The hummingbird, when it creates the nest, the male species will actually stand outside. It will only bring the raw material. The woman, before getting into the nest, she'll make sure that the nest is safe for everyone at home, right? Also, look at, the male lion has the chain of hair and all that. So the male lion is supposed to be beautiful. Similarly, the peacock, right? It's got the feathers. The female peacock does not have the feathers. So I think by nature we are known as species of courage, and men are supposed to be known for their beauty because they had to attract for reproduction and things like that, right? But over a period of time, I think somewhere, I think we messed it up in thinking that women are supposed to be beautiful, we're not supposed to be resilient and all that. So resilience get noticed right now, okay? And as a social construct, I think people want us to bend and break, and we don't want to do that, right? We want to be trailblazers, we want to be path breakers in wherever we are at this point in time, right? And therefore resilience is noticed and it is celebrated, okay? But I think our resilience has been celebrated since the evolution of mankind, I guess. It's just that we messed it up in between.
Thank you, ma'am. It was fascinating answer, really.
And that's a wonderful answer, ma'am. Broadway and Perambour team can also raise the questions.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Satyamani. I'm from a Perambour Center. I have a question. How can a woman stand in solidarity with each other to achieve their career goals?
Satyavani, if you ask me, it's better to be solitary. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because when you're in a crowd, when you're part of a large society, you already have your family, you have your friends, you have people who are going to constantly ridicule you for whatever you do, right? So at least when you're alone, when you're in isolation, in that solitary state, you're already blocking the noise out. Then I think you're more conscious of what you want to do, there is a reflection pivot, and I'm sure you are prepped up for better decision making, Satyavani. So I think it's better to be alone, and solitary is the best solution if you would really want to strive and achieve greater heights.
Definitely.
Definitely, ma'am. That's a great answer. So, panelists, there is a question from our staffs also. The question goes like this: why do we celebrate successful women publicly yet tolerate inequality in our home itself? So the question from AVC team, Sornalata ma'am. So why do we celebrate successful women publicly yet tolerate inequality in our own homes?
Who would like to take up this challenge, this question?
Tolerating things from home should come out of love and choice. It should not come out of pressure or expectation. So that's what I personally feel. If my success is celebrated outside, if I'm sacrificing something in my home, it means that should come with love and choice. That has to be my own decision. It has to be from love and choice, but that should not be with a pressure or expectation of my family or expectation of other people.
Thank you, ma'am. That's a wonderful answer.
Just to add on with the experience that I also have is, see, respect has to be earned, whether it is in professional or personal life. So what you are, every day you're growing and upgrading yourself. So your family as well as your colleagues are seeing it across. So it actually is being earned. So that is what I feel towards this as well. It will be celebrated both the professional as well as personal life in case we actually deliver and upgrade ourselves accordingly every day.
Okay, any other questions?
Aina, I have a question to ask. Can I? Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay. Firstly, myself is Rita from Don Bosco Valikadi, Perambur. My question is, what advice would you give to the young women who want to become future leaders? Am I audible? Hello.
Yes. My advice would be invest in yourself, be it skill, education, be it a character or confidence. Invest in yourself. That worth the while.
Yes, MC, I think you can take it forward from here. Come
Yes,
to
sir. There is also one more
the end of
student
questions,
on
if
the
I'm
line.
not mistaken. One or two questions are there.
Yes, just one more question.
Yeah.
Morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm Divasri from Franbur branch. I have a question that as a college student, what are the 3 skills we should start develop today to become strong and confident women leadership in the future?
I beg your pardon. As a college student, I didn't follow. As a college student, Yuvashri?
Yes, sir. As a college students, what are the 3 skills we should start develop today to become strong and confident women leadership in the future?
Okay.
I would say communication skill, consistency, and discipline. These three things that you have to know for moving forward. Because this helped me in my personal life to grow. So I would tell you the thing: communication, discipline, and
If there are any more questions, you can.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want.
I'm Lalita from Broadway Center. I have a question. How can organization empower women to lead with purpose while creating an opportunity for meaningful career growth and impact? And how can we can make a good leaders?
To answer both your questions, see, one is I don't think leaders are made. Okay, so leaders evolve over a period of time. Okay, if you look at what is the definition of a leader, is someone who inspires people to follow them. Okay, so leaders don't happen within a day. All right. And secondly, if you look at an organization, all organizations have great policies today for growth of women. We have career pathways. There are policies in place for returning mothers. There are policies for women in leadership. It's just that you need to be more aware of those policies. Understand when you get into an organization how you can get there, understand what it requires to be there. Sometimes, like how Niveda said, probably it could be lifelong learning, it could be communication, it'll be other kinds of skills. So make sure you're constantly reinventing yourself and you're in the lifelong learning process within the context of that organization to lead spaces in an organization.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, dear staff and students, for your valuable questions. And thank you, dear panelists, for your thoughtful answers and everything. If there is any other question also, you can share it to your trainers so that we can pass it to the panelists. Thank
Would the panelists want to ask any questions to the audience?
That will be quite interesting. So you can ask some
It will be
questions.
interesting. We turn the tables right now. We'll turn the tables. That's Father Joe Anand on screen. Father Joe Anand, thank you so much for providing this platform. I think you've done a wonderful job of organizing this entire event with your staff at Don Bosco Varikati. I think a special shout out goes out to you and to your entire team. Sindhu has done a fabulous job, and so has everybody else. Veronica, Didi, Panikim, everybody. I think very well done under your leadership, Father. Excellent, excellent job.
Thank you, Master.
Would the panelists want to pose any one or two questions?
I'll have a question. Okay, so since I worked in this space, and I know that there are a lot of women out there, young women. All of you must be aspiring for jobs or entrepreneurship. And you're at the threshold of that space at this point in time, right? I know you'll be there for the next 2-3 years. Okay, that will definitely happen. How many of you think that you will withstand all the societal barriers and the pressures that come with being a woman and being aspirational? And how long do you think you'll be able to sustain out there? Will it be 5? Will it be 10? I would like to see some numbers on the screen. Okay, Yarni says 10. Only 2?
I think that's it. I think that's it for now. How many responses have come up? Oh, a few are coming in. 6. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah.
Ma'am, if we can come back again.
Yeah.
I have a question for all of you. There must be a lot of youngsters out here who are in colleges. How many of you will think of innovation and entrepreneurship, as part of your career goals? How many of you would have the courage to take it on? Let us see, because there it's leadership that is really residing in you. How many of you would have the courage to get into entrepreneurship or think innovation? Because today everything is society is really rooting for entrepreneurs. So let's see how many hands go up there. They are self-starters. How many of you would do that or want to do that? I will say this is the beginning of leadership, because wanting to say yes to something and is taking that first step. So it's very important for you to know that you may be able to do that. Saying yes itself is the first step in leadership. So never have that hesitancy. The more number of hands come up actually show that you have the courage to think leadership. It's not a science that can be taught. It has to come from within you. That's all I have to say. Good, I can see some people here. Great. The entrepreneurship ecosystem is so live everywhere, in every state in India. So there should be more hands up here. New self-starters will become leaders and job providers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, I think it's been a fantastic panel. You've spent more than expected time over here with everyone. I really thank all 6 of you for your insights, for your involvement, your enthusiasm, your energy, the vibrancy that you have brought in over here. I just hope and pray this vibrancy translates into all the viewers who have tuned in from various parts of the country and some from abroad as well. I wish all of you and everyone in this gathering over here the very best in all your endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I would now request the MCs to go for the conclusion, please. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As we come to the final segment of today's program, we now move to the valedictory address and vote of thanks. I would like to invite Reverend Father Joe Anand, SDB and Director of Don Bosco Varigatti, to deliver the valedictory address and propose the vote of thanks.
So very good evening, dear friends. It gives immense joy for me to thank all of you. It is very inspiring, and it gives me a lot of input for me personally, also for all the students who are here and all those people who are watching across through our live program. What inspires me, I see every woman as a monument of grace. Monument of grace. Multiple tasking, resonating the presence of grace, love, affection, because we come from a family where mother plays a vital role in the growth of a child. Whatever age we are in, mother always has a special place in the family. Even now, my mother considers me as I am child, though I am only 40, and I'm saying is that my mother considers still I'm a child for her. Like, that is a motherhood. That's why I said motherhood is a monument of grace. So I appreciate all the panel members for a wonderful session. And also I take this wonderful opportunity to thank Mark sir, who has been instrumental to initiate this work. It's because of him, this panel discussion actually. He is a spark to start this event. So I take this wonderful opportunity to thank Mark sir for your wonderful panel discussion that you have led us. And also I take opportunity to thank all the distinguished panelists, starting from Vinodini ma'am, Sudhakar and Batma ma'am, Auxilia Peter, Suma Nair, Elizabeth Johnson, Niveta, our students. Your insight and experience have truly inspired us. It is not just a panel discussion. It is much more than that. You shared your personal convictions and your dream and aspirations, and you want to radiate that same process that you have experienced in your life to all the people. And I'd like to take this wonderful opportunity to thank the staff members of Don Bosco Varigati. All of them, all the center managers, Sindhu, and people with the Perambur team and ABC team, Broadway team, and the technical team and career guidance team, and also job placement team who have organized this event. My special appreciation goes to all the students and participants who have joined in this enthusiasm, openness to learn. As we celebrate the International Women's Day, we may continue to empower women, nurture leadership, and build a more and just inclusive society. And thank you all once again. Have a wonderful evening, and my prayers and blessings to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Father. With this, we come to an end of today's DBV-MAESTRO Women's Day celebration. Today's discussion reminds us of an important lesson. When women lead with purpose, embrace progress, and prioritize well-being, they not only transform their own journeys, but also inspire stronger, more inclusive workplaces and communities. On behalf of the organizers, I extend my thankful wishes to all our panelists, speakers, and participants for contributing to such a meaningful and enriching conversation. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we can now formally bring this to a close. Thank you so very much. God bless everyone. Happy Women's Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Great.
Great.
Okay. Thank you. Of course.